everybody, my name is Nikki with Curiosity Quills Press, and today we're doing the social media tag, which I'm super excited about. I first found this tag by Ariel Bissett, who is another booktuber and freaking hilarious, and her recommendations for books are on point. So if you haven't already seen her booktube, maybe meander down to the links below and check her out. I will also be using her tags. She changed them a little bit. Faulty Devices is where you'll find the original tags, but I liked those better and they fit the books I had better, so I'm using Ariel's. They're listed down below in case you're wondering. Let's get started. First social network tag is Twitter, which is a favorite short book of yours, and that for me is Anthem by Ayn Rand. I adore this book. It's 130 pages at the most, and it's a lot simpler and better, in my opinion, than Atlas Shrugged or really any of her other novels. This is the only book by Ayn Rand that I really enjoy. It's got a 1984 dystopian, but there's a romance to it, and it's just beautiful. It's also, if you're reading Ali Condi's Matched series, I think it's called, Matched and Crossed and Reached, I'm halfway through that right now and I'm getting a lot of undertones of this, so if you like that series, maybe check this out for a quick read after. It's also got a quote in this that you all know, I'm sure, and it's only 2 words long, and I can't tell you what it is because if I did it would ruin the book, so you're going to have to read this to figure out what the quote is. Alright? Next social network is Facebook, which is a book that you were peer pressured into reading by your friends, and I don't have that book because I was lent it by my friends, and that book is Twilight, and I don't really know what to say about Twilight. I think I really wanted to like it because everyone else that was reading around me liked it, and maybe the hype just kind of screwed me over, but I never got on the fan fever wagon for Twilight. I don't know what happened with that one. But the next social network is Tumblr, and that is a book you read before it was cool. And that, my friends, is a funny story, because that book is a Game of Thrones. So this happened because I, in the 4th and 5th grade, was allowed to read the, restricted section of the 8th grade and above books because I had a higher reading level than some of the other kids in my school. So I just found Game of Thrones. It was a dude on a horse for the cover back then, so it was really cool. And I started reading it and realized it was wildly inappropriate for my age level, and I stopped reading it after the first book. Then, fast forward 12 years, came home and my roommate was watching Game of Thrones, the TV series, and I kept getting deja vu and figuring out what was going to happen and guessing it just a few minutes before. So we Google searched it and then really quickly realized that it's actually based on the book that I read 12 years ago. So that's kind of cool, and all I can say is thank God I did not read that and read about the Red Wedding back when I was 10 or 11 years old, because that probably would have emotionally traumatized me permanently. So I guess it worked out really well. Next social network is Myspace, which is a book that you know you've read, but you don't really remember if you liked it or not. That for me is actually If I Stay by Gail Forman. I know I borrowed the book from the library in junior high and read it. All I remember is that it was sad. That could go either way for me. I have no idea if it was good sad or bad sad, or if it, I don't know. I have no recollection besides seeing the cover, thinking this title was familiar, and being sad. So I did re-download it since the movie's coming out, and I guess I'll find out. Maybe I'll do an update about it. Next social network is Instagram, and that is a book that was so pretty that you had to take a picture of it. That for me is a CQ book called Destruction by Sharon Bayless, and it's kind of the girl trifecta because it's a butterfly, iridescent, and peacock flavors, peacock colors. Yeah, it actually tastes like a peacock. So this book is beautiful, and I fangirled over it the second our cover art was done for it. I have to say, now that I'm doing this and saying how pretty it is, it's kind of funny because it's really not a super girly book. It's actually about a man who is 30 or 40 and his family, okay, so think Malfoy family, they're dark wizards, but it's much more serious and adult. They're grown up. There's just so much more adult content, and I don't mean sexy adult content necessarily. I just mean more mature times and issues in their lives. So that's funny. Maybe I'll see some 40-year-old men reading this in the subway. Yeah, next social network is YouTube, and that is another CQ book of mine because that is a book that you would like to see turned into a movie. And I'm not just saying this because it's a CQ book. I have one of the only copies that exist in the world of this in physical form right now because it's not released yet, and it's 0 Point by Naviz Ahmed. And it's epic. It's so epic. It's, okay, Jason Bourne series, Jason Bourne Identity and Supremacy and all of those, plus prime ministers assassinated, plus explosions and fire and girlfriend missing and gotta save her and things, plus quantum apocalypse. That's all I'm gonna say because I don't want to give anything away, but it's so freaking badass, and I just think if they made it into a movie and like had a budget so the explosions didn't look terrible, it would be just epic. So that would be awesome. Like CAA or someone, if you want to get on this, that would be fabulous. Last but not least is Goodreads, and that is a book that you would recommend to everyone. And I kind of took that as a book that is appropriate to be read by anyone, so I picked Stardust by Neil Gaiman. This is my copy. It's got a lot of different covers, but it's just a great little novel, as are all of Neil Gaiman's books. It's about 300 pages, and it's about a man named Tristan who falls in love with a woman named Victoria, and he proclaims his love to her, and she is a cold, hard bitch, and she doesn't feel the same way, and so Tristan basically tells her he's going to go get a star to show his affection for her, and he does. He finds a star, and then he realizes that it's like kind of a person and has feelings and emotions, and he can't bring himself to give it over like it's a possession. And that's all I'm going to tell you about it because I want you to read it. Do not watch the adapted movie and assume that you know it, because this is way better, as most books are to movie adaptations. Yeah, it's just a fabulous book. I would check it out. And that's all I have to say. If you guys have other recommendations or comments, questions, put them down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you, or you can always email me at nikki@curiosityquillspress. That's 2 K's, 2 I's.